Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. How you doing? Heatwave right now, so forgive me if I'm not on the ball and my mind wanders even more than it normally does. Anywho, today we'll be talking about Loki Season 1. Overall review of it as opposed to episode by episode and just going off what I remember. So on its base level, Loki is an emotional journey for the title character Loki, as was a plot-based journey for the character of Sylphy. A female variant of Loki, but a lot of people aren't trusting that because they are pulling pretty heavy from another Marvel character, the Enchantress. And so far they've kind of stuck with it, but it remains to be seen until the films. And if they do make an appearance in films, I should say, Sylphy, if they stick to it, or if they generally do pull that Enchantress switcheroo and just kind of rob it from us. LGBTQ plus representation, I mean. Anywho. Throughout the series, we see Loki constantly get confronted with and challenged by his own very nature via various scenarios he finds himself in, being confronted with the actual journey that Loki through the movies took, as well as variants of himself, and being able to be an outside observer to himself, probably for the first time in his entire life. That's very key towards the end of this, because Sylphy does not go on that journey. She has a very specific goal of revenge. And she does achieve it by the end of it, and that has led to some division within the fan base. Some thinking it's on the Star-Lord level of effing over people's lives, and some people thinking it's a good choice because, one hand, Kang the Conqueror, gonna cause untold damage, but he kind of always was going to do that, and she freed everybody. Problem is she didn't care. Fundamentally, Mortis could have been trying to protect everyone as much as possible while still giving them as much free will as possible. Allowing everyone to do whatever they want, and they only step in whenever it becomes a possibility of creating a variance for Kang. And at that point, step in and prune the timeline. But Sylphy wouldn't have cared. She wouldn't have cared at all if everyone else is still having free will. She personally got burned and is going to kill Mortis for this. That's kind of the problem here. She did the right thing, but fundamentally for the wrong reason. And like I said, we get to focus mostly on Loki throughout this show. Some people have said he's a side character, but he's the one that goes on an emotional journey throughout all this. And Sylphy is the one that is still stunted. It's another variant that Loki is confronted with, who is trapped by their own nature. It just so happens that what Sylphy wants to achieve also has this immensely good byproduct to it, but again, she don't care about that. Not at all. And it's made even more heartbreaking because they do go for emotional interconnection with the two variants here, which my main thought on that is I'm a shipper at heart, so meh. I enjoy shipping. Anywho, not to mention if they pull that switcheroo for the Enchantress, it's then okay, but what are we doing here, Why are we getting mad over this when they clearly just wanted to hint at this thing and get people hyped and get people excited for the show and, service the community, and then, just pull the rug out from under them for the 12th time. So I just forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. That's airplane mode. Yeah, I'm not editing this too much. So, enjoy that staying in. Where was I? Oh, yes. Compared to the other two MCU TV shows, like official ones that we've seen so far, it falls in a nice middle ground between WandaVision kind of being like a standalone comic that may or may not tie loosely into something but gets to follow its own journey throughout, and Captain American Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier. God, that got confusing for a second. Where it's mostly setting up a bunch of stuff for future films and TV shows, and is doing its best to get a plot for that. Though it needs to be said, this show was undoubtedly affected by the pandemic. From what it looks like to me, I'd say there may have been like an intended additional 2 or 3 episodes, kind of using the buddy cop dynamic that was established in the first and second episode, before at the end of that episode it diverges entirely. I think it would have been a good halfway point for the series, and they were going to use that to kind of slowly build up and hint at some mysteries that get revealed later on down the line throughout the show. Spoilers, but yeah, I've already gone into them. Oh well. But the one scene we had was like out in the open. Well, actually 2, maybe? No, one of them definitely had to be on the set, but like it was very heavily limited by COVID restrictions, and like all other scenes like that with dealing with variants and the like is just would have required too many people, you know? And they just couldn't, especially being delayed because of it. WandaVision was like half shot and then held for months, you know, until like COVID restrictions were lifted. So yay. I mean, it was definitely needed time. It's just like, it's really made things very complicated for TV productions. But yeah, that seems to be the biggest takeaway, is the divide on the fan base between Sylphy, hero, not. Quite frankly, it's one of the most nuanced actions we've seen in the MCU to date. Because, like I said, it's undoubtedly a good outcome, and, you know, in a meta sense, gives us the multiverse, which gives us the What If series, and a bunch of other stuff, which we're all very for. But, again, emotionally and morally, she was in the wrong for doing it. Especially because it gives you easy to get that impression if Tom Henderson, the person you like, was just like, let's talk about this, and the response is sword swung at her. Him, I should say. My bad. Some other problems with this series is that there's only 3 other characters, and because of that lack of, you know, buddy cop episodes I mentioned earlier that I feel like were originally intended, they don't get established too much beforehand because they're part of the TVA, Time Variance organization, that picks up Loki after he becomes a variant. Wow, how far are we into that? 9 minutes! Completely disjointed, as per usual. Anywho, the most we get is Mobius, but honestly, like, some people in the fan base were like, you know, shipping them hard together, and it's like, I get that, I respect that, but also they made it like, why wasn't there something here at the end with these two? And it's like, if they had more scenes, if they had more interactions before Loki ran off, you know, after Sylphy, I could 100% buy that. You know, I could definitely get like the desire for it, but just at this point, with the lack of interaction they had, you know, throughout the series, and it is a shame because Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston did have good chemistry together. It feels more, you know, they've had some scenes together here, and, you know, 2 male characters that interact most in the show. We get, you know, a gay ship of them. kind of like Starfire and Raven in the original Teen Titans shows. You know, it's two girl characters that interact most together, ship at them. And those ships can be quite good and have a lot going for them, but it's clear the root cause of why they came into existence. A desire for either some sort of, well, not either, just some sort of representation in the fan base and in the show itself. And so people just kind of read into that. But yeah, like, again, he does it well. I have somewhat of a sense of his character, but like, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, he just doesn't get enough screen time and, you know, enough that buddy cop dynamic to kind of flesh him out. And that then affects B-15 and Judge Hemsworth, I want to say. But just not built out enough within the show, because first episode is setting everything up, you know, setting up the premise of the series. And then episode 2 throws that all away. You know, you only get the one episode of that. You know, and then it's like, oh, you betrayed me, or we're hunting this person down now. It's like episode 3 did not feature them at all outside of the opening. Then episode 4, people locked in cells, and then, you know, time loops and all that. Didn't get a bunch of interaction there. Then episode 5, In the Void, mainly focuses on Loki and other variants of himself interacting, and Sylphy, and then them beating Goliath. And just Owen Wilson doesn't get a lot of build up there, nor does Judge Hemsworth. B-15's just in a cell for the episode. And in episode 6, they don't have the biggest impact as well, and then cliffhanger ending resets everything. You know, a version of Kang is in charge of the TVA, and they have no memory of Loki, and it's like, come on, man. I like the actors, and I like the base premise for these characterizations. I just want them to be further explored in a season 2. Speaking of, for a season 2, I would love a further delve into Loki and Sylphy's power set. I did falsely refer to them as guardians, biologically speaking. Throughout the series of episode reviews, they are frost giants, but nonetheless, the effects are still the same. I was willing to write off, sorry, I almost went for R instead of a W, the lack of strength like Loki had against the TVA agents, because I figured, okay, it's like the comics, these are just clones that are enhanced in some way to deal with these things. But it turns out they are solely variants. So Loki should be able to throw around a few of them. And if they've not been enhanced in that way, or if they have, it should have been covered within the TV show. And that strength isn't based on magic. A lot of his powers are magic based, and like, you know, TVA, that area strips him of them, which again plays into why people feel Loki is a side character here, given how depowered or how infrequently he gets to use his powers and the basic uses they have of them. But he also just loses repeatedly. And I said in my first episode review, episode 1, there's a perfect interaction where the TVA first comes across and where some grunts come out first. If they had just let Loki hand them their asses and then had B-15 step in, with him being all cocky after that, get an easy hit that then slows him down, that would have been a good establishment. He is still a strong, capable fighter with abilities, but we also see his character flaws undermine him, thus allowing him to be captured. He didn't take them as a serious threat. He toyed around with them, played with his food, and then someone more serious came along and made him pay for that. That would have been perfect for his character. And it's like, it's that way throughout the entire series. It just seems like for every up he has in a fight, there's always a down, and it always has this feeling that he's lost the fight. Whether it's because he gets thrown from a train, the people they're there to kill are just androids, not real, thus kind of undermining it. And the ending, again, it 100% should have gone that way. He did not want to hurt Sylphy in that fight, in that climatic fight between the two of them, disagreeing on what to do with the TVA, or at the very least, refusing to have a conversation about it. Because he didn't want to hurt her, he genuinely cared for her, and that helps show his growth as a character. And it also shows that Sylphy, 100%, like I said, has not gone on that character arc, has not gone on that growth. But again, it contributes to that theme of Loki in the series constantly losing fights. It just leaves a sour taste in the audience where I can't point to a single instance of him just winning, just coming out on top, winning a fight. Every single one of them, he has lost in some sort of way throughout the entire series. And it's just a little frustrating. But yes, that comes to strength and combat skills, but also like more creative uses of his magical powers, of the telekinesis, of shape-shifting, of teleporting, growth in power, and also use of them. Like, I think in episode 3, was it? I said they were walking into town. They're on a doomed planet, moon's crashing into it. They're trying to get to the last possible chance for them to get off of the planet. Escape vessel, evacuating citizens and all that. Now, where was I? Genesis? And they're just walking into town, and I'm like, why doesn't Loki, illusion them up a horse to ride on? Or a motorcycle, because he can make illusions that people can interact with and conjure things into existence as well. So why doesn't he use that? He just feels severely underpowered in this series, and to an extent Sylphy as well, because she gets to win a few more fights, but also comes to that same problem of just not getting as many creative uses of powers. The best we get is a few blasts and a few scenes here and there, and telekinesis, to pick up a sword. There are so much more creative things you can do with these two characters and their abilities. I do wish to see that in the season 2. As well as any future appearances in films and TVs. Wipe the sweat from my brow, because I'm just sitting down, but it's so hot that I'm sweating anyhow. Oh well. And it's on par with the entire series. I thought like this one would go a bit more over, but no. I seem to be having everything. Hopes for season 2, improved use of powers. I would love to see a meetup between like Loki and Spider-Man. I just think there's like some fun interactions you could certainly have with that, especially given like this Loki, the one we're following, has attempted to take over New York, but again, has grown and changed as a person and fallen more on the good side now. I'd love to see that interaction between him and Spider-Man. Also set some world building. Do they teach about this in schools now in the MCU? About when Loki, made a portal in the sky for an army to invade New York? Or is it just like, yeah, we're not gonna put that into curriculum yet until like it's been at least, 15 years, because then it won't be a hot button issue. But like people could still find information about that online in the MCU. So like I desperately want to know how that interaction would play out and how like Spider-Man would respond to like a reformed Loki. Also, mix of the power sets could really lead to a few creative fight scenes that I'd very much enjoy. And now my laptop's acting funny. Oh well. God, is there anything else? Not really. I've kind of covered my premise and the problems I had with it. The overview of the fan base, responses, and I've gone into that. Base premise of the show. And I already have like individual episode reviews if you want more detailed episode by episode breakdowns for you to go back over. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Sunglasses on, they can't see me wink. Ain't I smart? Anywho, that's gonna be about it. I don't know if I'll get this out overnight, because Heatwave has slowed me down a little bit in my video production. But anywho, just because it's part of the theme about me getting them out so quick, and it'll match up with every other video. Friday I will be streaming Control, Furry VTuber, Sod Passion Gaming on YouTube and Twitch, streaming Control on a Friday. Saturday, we will be streaming Hollow Knight, and on Sunday, back to Super Mario 64 for even more torment. God, I just hate the physics in that game. Anything else? Sunday, I believe? Sunday or Saturday, a last minute collab as well for Pokemon Unite. I'm going to be giving that a shot and playing it with some people, because why not? Now, is there anything else I need to think of? Not really. I've already called out the Loki episodes, and I'm doing very little edits to this so I can get it out quicker. So, without further ado, cut! Thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time. Be sure to like, comment, share the video about the place, and to subscribe. And also, if you're feeling exceptionally generous, take a look at my Patreon. Thank you very much for your time. Ta-ta, Wiedersehen, until we meet again.